$200 million, $57,000. Anthem cost $200 million to make. Hollow Knight cost $57,000. Anthem has a Metacritic score of 54. Hollow Knight has 87 and 15 million copies sold. This video is about why that happened and why it keeps happening. AAA isn't a genre and it isn't a quality rating. It's a huge budget. A game is called AAA when its production costs more than $100 million. That means thousands of employees, years of development, and marketing budgets that sometimes exceed the production itself. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 spent over $200 million on marketing alone, the same amount it cost to develop. And here's the problem that nobody talks about. A large budget creates a large risk. If the game fails, the studio loses hundreds of millions. That means the publisher will never allow developers to do something genuinely new. It's safer to make what already worked: a sequel, a reboot, an open world with towers, crafting systems, again. Hollow Knight was made by 3 people: Ari Gibson, William Pellin, and David Cure, in Adelaide, Australia. No publisher, no office. A Kickstarter raised $57,000, 10 times their original goal. Development took 2.5 years. The result: 15 million copies, Metacritic 87, and a game people still replay today. Anthem was developed over 7 years at BioWare, the studio behind Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Budget: $200 million. EA gave them the best developers, the best technology. The result? Metacritic 54, the departure of key developers, and a game that was abandoned within a year of launch. Same industry, same goal, completely different outcomes. Imagine you've spent $200 million of other people's money. Your investors, your shareholders are waiting for a return. In that situation, you cannot afford to do something genuinely new, because if it doesn't work, you've lost everything. It's safer to make what already sold. Open world. Multiplayer. Loot boxes. Cyberpunk 2077 was in development for 8 years and launched so broken that Sony removed it from their store. No Man's Sky promised an infinite universe and delivered emptiness. Battlefield 2042 lost the majority of its player base in the first month. Redfall received a 55 on Metacritic with a budget of tens of millions. These aren't accidents. This is a pattern. When you have everything to lose, you stop taking the kind of risks that create something memorable. An indie developer can fail without catastrophic consequences. If the game doesn't sell, 3 people lose 2 years of work. That's painful. But that's not the end of a studio with 1,000 employees and a $100 million obligation. Hades invented the narrative roguelike. Stardew Valley, 1 developer, 4 years, 40 million copies. Undertale rewrote the rules of RPGs. Disco Elysium made dialogue the primary gameplay. Every one of these games did something AAA would never have allowed itself to do. In 2023, Steam added over 14,000 new games. The overwhelming majority of them were made by teams of 5 or fewer people. The tools to make games have never been more accessible. Unity, Godot, Game Maker. Anyone with a laptop and an idea can start. The barrier to entry is gone. What remains is the only thing that was always there: whether you have something to say. It would be dishonest to say all AAA games are failures. Elden Ring received a Metacritic 96 and sold 20 million copies. Red Dead Redemption 2 is still considered one of the greatest narrative experiences in gaming. The Last of Us changed how people think about games as a medium. But notice what these games have in common. All three allowed themselves to take risks. From Software as a private company with no shareholders, Rockstar has full creative freedom within Take-Two. Naughty Dog is a studio with a reputation that gives them room to work. The best AAA games are made when the system allows them to think like indie. That's not a coincidence. And here's the part most people ignore. This gap is getting bigger, not smaller. Game engines like Unity and Unreal are now accessible to everyone. Assets, tutorials, even entire systems, available for free or for a few dollars. What once required 100 people can now be done by 5 or 1. At the same time, AAA budgets keep increasing. 300 million, 400 million, which means even less risk, even safer decisions, even more repetition. Indie is accelerating. AAA is stabilizing. And when one side moves faster than the other, the outcome is inevitable. And in the end, none of this is about budgets or studios or even development time. It's about the player. Players don't remember how much a game cost. They remember how it made them feel. The moment they got lost in a world, the moment a mechanic surprised them, the moment a story stayed with them long after the credits rolled. And those moments don't come from safe decisions. They come from risk. Indie games didn't beat AAA in graphics, not in scale, not in marketing. They beat them in one thing: courage. Because when you have nothing to lose, you can make something no one has ever made before. And sometimes that's exactly what people need. $57,000 against $200 million. Hollow Knight against Anthem. The answer is already there. The only question is whether anything will change. Which one do you remember? Write it in the comments. And if you think there's a game that deserves to be mentioned alongside the best indie titles, I want to hear that too.